Welcome, everybody, to the Daryl and Boo show. It's myself, Boo, and Daryl. Daryl, how was your weekend?
Weekend was good. I think sometimes the weekends where you really don't have a lot to do and big plans or anything like that are sometimes the best weekends. And this was one of them. It was pretty quiet. Had a lot going on over the last little while. So kind of just took it easy this weekend. And the most exciting thing we probably did was went grocery shopping. So it was nice. Yeah. How about yourself?
Nice. Yeah, pretty, again, another weekend a weekend where we didn't have a whole lot planned, but we had stuff that we did need to do around the house. So called it quits on our pool outside. We have not a in-ground pool, but we have a pool that we have to put together, and so took that down, which is a multi-day process, hooking up the hose, and so started that on Wednesday and finally drained it. And sure enough, yesterday at the final stages of taking down the pool, it starts to rain.
Yeah.
So, so my wife was out there for a couple hours getting the last bit of the water out of it and then drying it with a towel, and then it starts to rain on top of it.
So we can officially blame you for the end of summer? Is that what you're actually saying here? Or?
Yeah, it might be. I don't know. We'll see. I think the weather looks good for the upcoming week, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, tried to do some organization in the garage. My wife has some projects that she has voluntold me are going to happen, so we'll see. But we better get the garage sorted out anyways. We've been in this house for like 6 years, and the garage has, aside from adding a very elaborate gym to it, doesn't have a whole lot else kind of organized inside of there, just bare walls. And I have a pegboard that didn't really work out too well, but now I've got it sorted out. So
yeah, nice. It's nice to have that stuff. And there's actually companies that will come in and basically reorganize your entire garage and build racks and all that kind of stuff. I know you're a bit of a do-it-yourself guy, but I've seen the end product at a few friends' houses. It's actually pretty cool of what the amount of extra space that they can do just by kind of customizing it a little bit. But,
yeah, I'd be interested to see the the unique part of our garage and all the garages in our neighborhood, and the way the houses are constructed here is we have really big crawl spaces here, and then you kind of drive up the driveway a bit. So as a result, and the offset of the crawl space is that my garage has 14-foot ceilings, and so a lot of people will end up putting like small lofts inside of there for storage. I have a couple neighbors, if I walk by their houses when I'm walking the dog and stuff and see inside, and many of them have built that for storage. So might look at doing a little bit of that in one area, but it's been handy for a gym because I have huge uprights that go up almost the whole way. I have 12-foot uprights for a rack, for a squat rack and stuff, and then I can hang stuff from there. Stuff.
Nice thing to have over COVID. I've got one friend who's a CrossFitter like yourself, who and as soon as there was a hint of COVID, she ran out and built a home gym in their garage. But now which has been awesome. She could continue her training, and her husband too. But I think even though they're going to go back to the respective gyms, they're definitely keeping their garage gym. They just love it. So
it's pretty handy. There was a shortage on dumbbells. I think it's alleviated now, but all those dumbbells came from overseas, and so all that stuff was kind of backed up for a while there.
Yeah,
and otherwise trying to get things organized for bikes, and so we have the kids' bikes have gotten bigger over the years. Like they're adult sized bikes now, although on the smaller size of adult bikes. And so I've ordered, as I mentioned last week, I've ordered a bike as well. And so I got to figure out where to put all that stuff. Hanging them is a little bit difficult for the kids because the bigger bikes are harder for them to take down. So I got to get some stuff sorted out there. But we did go to the kind of scoured a couple bike stores to get them knee pads and elbow pads and stuff, and even that stuff is harder to get, let alone the bikes. Getting that kind of stuff right now, it's pretty tricky.
Yeah, I know you guys did some riding up in Whistler a couple times this summer, but are you riding locally too? Like I assume out in Pitt Meadows, there's got to be some good spots to do some trail riding, I imagine.
Yeah. So there's a place called Thornhill in Maple Ridge that is about 20 minutes away, and then there's Burke Mountain in Coquitlam, Port Coquitlam over there as well, which I assume there's lots of spots out there. I mean, so much of it has been developed at this point, but I assume there's still lots of trails from what I hear.
Yeah, Burke Mountain's a bit of a riding mecca.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, there was for anybody in the Tri-Cities area, there was a bear sighting. I don't know if you've heard of the Coquitlam Crunch.
No, I don't think so.
It is. It's basically a stairway up the hill in Coquitlam. There, I think it's 2.2 kilometers, and it's just pure stairs. Not quite like a grouse grind, but it's still like a smaller grouse grind. And there was a bear on there, and there's a video. If you go check out just CBC or Global News, will have the video, and the bear kind of comes out of the bushes, and then just the runner is just kind of there. The bear comes out of the bushes, and the bear actually hits the runner in the leg and then backs off. And then the runner is like still standing, because there's another video of a bear kind of doing the same thing, like clawing on somebody, but not actually hurting them. And the bear, so the bear hit the person, it hit the woman, and then kind of backed off, and then kind of circled the woman a bit, but then kind of walked around. Then the woman just like boots it out of there.
Tailed it. Wow, she must have. Yeah, that would be scary. I'll look that up.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of bears, I don't know if that's a segue whatsoever, but we got our guest on today, who is Alex Langley from Okta. So we'll bring on Alex.
Hey guys.
Hey Alex, how's it going?
Yeah, good. You know what's funny is that was definitely one of my COVID activities, was organizing my garage as well. You know, so Daryl, I looked into those companies. I looked into getting the high end stuff on the walls. I mean, it's not cheap, right? I mean, you're talking thousands of dollars here. So
yeah,
I went the cheap Amazon route and just hung everything, got those little pegs and put them on the walls, got everything on floors at least, you know?
Yeah. So that was what I was mentioning too. So I have, I got pegboard for a wall. And so I went and bought pegboard sheets, and why I say it was only semi-functional at first was I bought these peg inserts for it with the different hooks, like a whole assortment of these things. And I had like a huge pack that I bought off of Amazon, this huge pack of this stuff sitting in a bag. And I remember when I was first putting it all together, things weren't quite sitting right, and things were just like falling out of the hooks. And so I was like, well, this stuff just doesn't work. And then I revisit it just this weekend, and turns out I just bought the wrong size of pegs. And so I bought these pegs. They're like $7 for a pack of like 30 different ones, and they fit fine now. So I have like total use of my pegboard again, which takes up like, probably 6 feet across and all the way down on the wall in the garage. So
I don't know why, but it's such a nice feeling when you drive up to your garage and you park your car and everything's just hung nicely. I don't know. There's a level of satisfaction I don't know how to describe.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't use our.
Sorry, go ahead, Boo.
We don't use our our garage for cars or anything like that either. You go into it's a parking stall for basically like a few bikes. The kids just like roll their bikes in there, throw them on the ground, and then enter the house.
See, I feel like in Vancouver, garages aren't a thing. In Calgary, everyone's like proud of how big and expansive their garages are here.
Got a lot of Laneway houses here, I guess, in Vancouver.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the one house in Vancouver.
Any spare square footage, we slap a house in it in Vancouver.
It's still $1 million.
I don't have a garage or a driveway, so that gives you a sense of, our neighborhoods or houses are 100 years old, so driveways weren't even a thing. So it's yeah, it is very different in Vancouver. It's
I think I saw an article where, and I don't know how they did this with property lines or something, but they they had a Laneway house in Vancouver that was sold separately for $1 million itself, which I'm not surprised about, I guess, at this point.
Wow. Yeah, definitely not. If anything here, the property values go down. So we have the reverse problem of you guys. Our stuff gets cheaper. We're less rich over time.
Yeah.
Are you born and raised Calgary guy?
No, actually Toronto.
Okay.
I grew up in Toronto. I actually lived in Tokyo for 5 years because my dad went over there to help open TD Bank in Tokyo. That was when I was really young. Came back to Toronto, and then went to school in London, Ontario, and then had a bunch of buddies that were from Vancouver that I was in school with. And after school was done, I'm like, yeah, Toronto doesn't seem that exciting to me at the time. So went out to Vancouver. Arrived there in July, and of course it's 30 degrees and sunny, and people are on the beach, and I'm like, this is the best place on earth. And so I moved there, and then promptly in March realized that it rains for 30 days in a row.
Yeah. And then another 30. You get one, and then another 30. Yeah.
But yeah, no, been in Calgary probably 11 years now.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
I've heard great things about Tokyo. I don't know how young you were, if you remember a lot about it, but I haven't gone there yet. But just hear phenomenal things about that. So on the list of places to go.
Yeah, I don't remember too much of it. I was so young at the time. Came back in sort of grade 2. I mean, I guess my fondest memory of coming back is that there even in kindergarten you're doing 5-6 hours of homework every night, and I remember coming back and not learning anything new in math until about grade 6 in Canada.
Wow.
Interesting. Says something about our education system versus the Japanese.
Yeah, well, they're definitely disciplined over there,
Yeah.
Wow. It's one of my in-laws actually had an exchange student from Japan, and he was saying that I think his dad was a pharmacist, and he was saying his dad basically worked 7 days a week, like 12 hours a day, and that was normal, or he described it as normal over there.
Yeah, I mean, the work culture is definitely something different. I mean, you see, I don't know if you've ever Googled these sort of videos and photos of these guys that are passed out in the streets at night, but it's because they're working till midnight. They go out, they have a couple drinks, they sleep in the street, and then they go back to work in the same uniform.
Unbelievable. Yeah, and I guess it's in Japan, from what I've heard, and that's not that uncommon. And it's just the standard ritual is just, if you see somebody like that, you prop them up, help them out, get them back on their feet and get them going again. It's just a very understood thing, and people kind of help each other out. Crazy. Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but if I went over there and worked at this point in my life, I think I would crash out.
Oh yeah.
Well, it'd be hard to get in your career. Have you seen Jiro Dreams of Sushi?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so the guys, like, to be like the rice guy, you had to have had worked in rice making for like 5 or 10 years to be the rice guy. And so I feel like at this point, like, I screwed up rice last week, actually, of all things.
And it was in the rice cooker too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a rice cooker. Well, so funny. I was making rice, and then I'm washing out the rice, and then I put the rice into the rice cooker, and then it was done in like 5 minutes, and I was like, oh, that's weird. Open it up. I forgot to put in more water after I'd rinsed out the rice. So anyways, I would never survive in Japan if I needed to build a rice career, because I would have failed on the first day and got fired.
It's amazing when you start looking into food, just how complex it is. Hey, I mean, even rice. What is there? Probably 100 different varietals of rice, and each one requires a different style of cooking it.
Yeah. And just what goes into, like, what do you learn in 10 years of cooking rice to actually certify you as the rice guy at the sushi place there? But whatever it is, and whatever they develop over the skill they develop over those 10 years is pretty amazing, I guess.
Yeah, it's funny how you think about careers like that, how we don't really reward people in that way. It's like all these people that learn these skilled trades, or they're cooks, and they take years and years to develop. And ironically, they're not really paid very much over time. Just backwards world sometimes.
And we're tipping the skip the dishes guy on a regular basis, and there's those people who probably don't get any extra incentive beside their base pay. Or you're right, it's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think we've brought this up before, but like the takeout place, the sushi takeout place that I go to now, amazing spot that we love, and so we're trying to tip whatever we can extra there, order extra there. It's a good excuse to eat more sushi, anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, like some of these restaurants, you see really great food and great cooks and people that are working there that aren't surviving because we just don't really have a system that can reward them very well. And then something like this happens, and then everything goes down for them.
One of the things I used to always laugh about Vancouver is, every person that I meet there, they'd always say to me, "Hey, Alex, like you got to try the best sushi place in Vancouver." Everyone has this one spot, this hole in the wall that they love. That's the best one. And I'm like, well, I mean, there's one on every block here. So there's bound to be multiple good ones.
Yeah, it is true. It's just one of the nicest parts about Vancouver is, you can be anywhere downtown. If you feel like sushi, just go on Google, and within 3 blocks, there's going to be a sushi place. And chances are it'll be an 8 out of 10. There's just the crappy ones don't survive just because there's so many good ones. So it's a nice thing to have, and inexpensive too. So
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Alex, in your role, let's get to that a bit, but you do spend time in Vancouver. We've had your counterpart, or one of your counterparts here on the show, Rab, last week actually, but you're from Okta as well. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about your role at Okta.
Yeah, so I'm not going to glamorize it. I'm a sales guy. I cover Western Canada. I cover all the big accounts in Western Canada, so Manitoba West. Really all it comes down to is kind of building the brand name, right? For the longest time, and I think you guys probably have had this in your career where, a company is new to Canada, they think it's the same as the US, and so they just get a whole bunch of US guys to fly in and try and cover it. And I mean, there's not sort of that lasting, entrenched mindset of building out, the community and building out the kind of relationships with people. And so, I'd say that's really the focus of my job, and that's sort of my role, is to kind of build the brand name, have people understand what it is, and then just build the community. I mean, there's a lot of, you guys deal with the same people I deal with. There's a lot of awesome people in cybersecurity in Western Canada and in infrastructure, and just getting them to talk and getting them to share ideas. I mean, at the end of the day, everyone's trying to accomplish the same things. So, I guess if you ask me what my role is, it's kind of that, right? It's trying to bring people together, share ideas, build out the community, and obviously, it helps that I'm working for a pretty awesome company that's kind of at the forefront of some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's something that Daryl and I have been working on for the longest time with F5 as well. And like, this is kind of a continuation of it. When people ask me about what the point is of all this getting online and showing our faces and stuff like that, and organizing, getting guests to speak to our customers. That's what we've been doing for the past 9 years. Is we have user group events and we bring on guests to make sure that people understand that, hey, there's a bunch of stuff that we can do, but also we have partners like Okta, where we work really well together with them. And if we don't do this kind of outreach type stuff, then people don't understand what they've bought. I mean, they understand what they've bought for the things that they initially bought it for, but then they might not understand, hey, we got this great relationship with Okta. We've worked on developing and vetting out solutions with them, and here it is, and we'll work together and make sure that these things are work as advertised for you.
Well, I think I'd be remiss also to not say that one of my personal kind of mottos, and my boss would get a chuckle out of this if he saw it, is #fun. I just want to have fun with my customers, right? I want to have fun with people, and sometimes work can be a bit of a drag, and it gets boring at times. And so it's like, if we can all have fun together, then collectively we're going to do more things together. So I know you guys subscribe to that philosophy too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah. And we're in similar situations here. This isn't like this for every single company out there, but for us and for Okta, like, we don't have a lot of coworkers that live close to us. So our coworkers end up being our customers, really, and that we get to hang out with and have fun with. And I don't know if our customers realize that they're the closest things that we have to coworkers, but
need them more than they need us. Yeah.
Yeah.
We force them into being our friends.
Yeah. through drinks and whatnot. Actually, that brings us back to a good point. We were chatting about this earlier, but the thumbnail for this stream and what will get sent out with our weekly newsletter, darylandboo.com, if folks want to sign up for that, is Alex at, were you at Yaletown Brew Co?
Exactly.
For that? Okay, so there's Alex with, I'll bring it up actually. There's Alex with a whole bunch of growlers branded with Okta, which looked pretty cool. Let me pull this up.
It already.
I think for us, we're always trying to do different. My marketing lady and I were always trying to think of different types of swag, and so I think about what does someone use every day or potentially use every day, and then I thought, hey, people drink beer, and it's probably even more relevant in COVID times. So let's brand some growlers, because that's something maybe they're going to be touching every single day, and then they'll see that name, right?
Yeah, cool thing to have too.
Yeah, so I only keep like a couple growlers.
Are you guys big beer guys? I think so, right? There we go. What's that?
So this is Foamer's Folly. Foamer's is the local microbrew. So I live in Pitt Meadows, for folks who don't realize or know, but Pitt Meadows is a smaller town, just kind of wedged in between two bigger towns, and so we have one microbrew here, which is Foamer's. So I keep a couple growlers from them.
Yeah, where I am, I'm in East Van, just about 15 minutes out of kind of downtown, and it's there's breweries all over the Lower Mainland, but it's a bit of a little brewery hotspot. I'm guessing there's probably 12 or 4, maybe more, but probably closer to 20 breweries within, a 5-minute drive or a 10-minute hop on your bike type of thing.
Yeah, you're in the epicenter of it for sure.
Yeah, it's really fun, and I am definitely a guy who likes craft beer, so we don't do it all the time. But there are those days where you just you make your way down to one, and you can walk to 3 or 4 breweries, and then go have dinner. Lots of local restaurants in that area too. So it's it's nice, and this is all within the last 7 or 8 years. That just didn't exist.
Yeah,
not that long ago.
Well, what's funny is I never even used to be an IPA guy. And it's been sort of a recent endeavor for me in the last couple of years. And I think what started it for me was I used to have a neighbor that was obsessed with coffee. And so, he was roasting his own beans. He was doing all the high-end stuff. And he kind of converted me from drinking my, Tim Hortons double, actually tasting what good coffee tastes like, right?
Yeah.
And so ever since I ditched the coffee, or say the milk and the sugar, it's like that sort of richness of the flavor. That's what kind of got me onto the IPA thing as well, right?
Yeah, there are so many good IPAs here in BC. Like it's Vancouver Island is some of my favorite breweries. Boo and I go to Victoria quite a bit for meetings, and there's 2 or 3 little breweries right downtown in Victoria that I think make some of the best beer in BC.
Yeah, now don't you guys have? Isn't there some sort of craft beer festival in Vancouver? There's a day every year or something like that.
There's probably a couple. I think the biggest one is hopscotch. So it's a combination of whiskey and craft beers, and that's really turned into a huge event. So it started off more of a Scotch thing with a little bit of beer, and now it's gotten so big that it's just every type of whiskey, bourbons and Japanese whiskeys, and obviously scotches and ryes, and I'm guessing the last time we went, I think it got obviously canceled this year because of COVID, but we went the year before, and gosh, there must have been 100 breweries represented, maybe more.
Wow!
As well as all of those whiskey distilleries from around the world. So yeah, that's a big one. I'm sure there's other smaller ones just completely focused on craft beer.
Yeah, so one of the things I noticed, I was in Vancouver a couple weeks ago, and I noticed you guys don't have the scooters yet, but we got them all over Calgary.
Oh, nice.
Speaking of drinking, do not, this is a disclaimer for your guests, do not drink and scoot.
Yeah.
I was on my way home from the bar the other night, 2 weeks ago, and I did not see a pothole in the road, and I went absolutely flying.
Whoa.
Oh, really?
Tabbed up everywhere, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was shockingly fast, especially when you're a little wobbly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had we had a company get together in Austin a couple of years ago at this point, and Austin had a whole ton of Lime scooters, and I can't remember what the other brand was, but most of us were on Lime scooters, and I don't think it was really wise for us to be taking those things out in the evenings.
Yeah.
We would show up it's funny because you would show up to a bar and it'd be full of like there'd be Lime scooter parking. I'm like, all these people got to get home somehow, and there's all these Lime scooters out here, so I don't know if there's anything that's gonna really dissuade them from just grabbing one of these Lime scooters as opposed to waiting even for an Uber, which would probably be pretty quick as well. But it seems like a recipe for disaster. Nobody got hurt from the F5 side that I know of.
But this is an idea. We need to invent some kind of field sobriety test that sits on the scooter, so you can walk a line and it tells if you can walk straight or not.
Plug something into the handlebars, or because you're absolutely right, it's unregulated and you're on the road on a vehicle with no helmet and no protection whatsoever. My wife and her friends did a girls trip last year to Nashville. Of course, they have them there. They came out of the one of the bars, and I'm sure they were all feeling quite good. And two of the girls insisted on hopping on scooters. And so my wife had already called an Uber for SUV for them all. She said, like, wait 2 minutes, hop in, don't do this. And no, off they went. And the person will remain unnamed, and I'm sure we all know her, but she had a pretty big accident and basically tore up all her shoulder. And
oh no.
Survived, but it was a good road trip story, I suppose.
Yeah, that's the thing about girls too. When they go out, like when guys go out, guys, are generally have more clothes on. But when girls go out, girls have way more or skin exposed, which, if you take a tumble, a lot more skin to burn off there.
Yeah, that was the case.
So Alex, we do a guest Q&A, and we have about 1 minute left. So maybe we'll do one of the questions from here.
Okay.
And I figure since you've spent a lot of time and lived in Vancouver for a while, can you name your favorite spot in British Columbia?
So it's not a spot necessarily, but it's in Vancouver. One of my fondest memories of living in Vancouver is I had a roommate at the time, and he was a chef, and we'd grab these crab traps and go down to that pier in West Vancouver. Do you guys know the name of it? I can't even remember the name of it.
I don't know. It could be Whitecliff or...
it was closer to the bridge, the Lionsgate Bridge.
Okay.
Anyway, there's a pier down there. We'd throw these crab traps in. We'd pull out some crabs and then go home and cook them. And that to me was quintessential Vancouver,
Yeah.
Nice.
So nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
A friend recently got a boat. So we've been out quite a few times this summer, and just beautiful little spots off the coast of BC. And yeah, it's so cool just to drop in the crab traps and pull them up, and you're eating them, 10 minutes later, fresh crab with whatever else you made. I can see why you love that.
Oh yeah. I mean, those crabs are not cheap, right?
No, exactly. And way better when they come right out of the ocean and into the pot. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. Thanks, Alex. So I am working with Rab on booking one of your solutions engineers to join me on a live stream upcoming here. So we're just still working out the date on that, but we'll have more to talk about on the Okta relationship with F5, which is only strengthened with Okta, F5, and Shape Security as well. So we have a lot of great use cases to talk about there that we'll dive into more. But for now, thanks a lot, Alex, for coming on. Hopefully we have some hashtag fun, before the end of the year, if not early next year. But really appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks for the invite, guys. Good to see
you, Alex. Thanks.
Sure. See ya.
Bye.
Thanks for checking this out today. If you're watching via YouTube right now, go ahead and click subscribe down below. Also click the bell for notifications. That way you will find out when we are dropping a new video or when we're going live. Also, there's darylandboo.com. If you head over to that, leave your name and email address, we will drop a weekly technical newsletter in your inbox every Monday. Also, this is available via podcast, Apple, Google, Spotify. Head over to one of those, hit subscribe, and you'll be able to listen to us in the car on your commute or during a walk or a run. Thank you very much, and we will see you next time.